Here we are back to Aesop's Fables. Just a few more tales here for the day. The lark and her young ones. A lark was a kind of a bird. A lark who had her nest of young ones in a wheat field had to leave them each day to go out and hunt food for them. As the wheat ripened, the mother, expecting the arrival of the reapers, left word that the young larks should report to her all the news they heard. One day, while she was absent, the farmer came to view his crop. "It is high time," he called to his son, "that our grain is cut. Go, tell all our neighbors to come early in the morning to help us reap it." When the mother lark came, her children told her what they had heard and begged her to remove them to a safe place of safety. "There's plenty of time," she said. "If a friend farmer waits for his neighbors to help him, there's no danger of the grain being harvested tomorrow." The next day the owner came again, and finding the day warmer and the wheat dead ripe and nothing done, he said to his son, "There is not a moment to be lost. We cannot depend upon our neighbors. We must call in all of our relatives. You run now and call all your uncles and cousins and tell them to be here tomorrow morning to begin the harvest." In still greater fear, the young larks repeated to their mother the farmer's words when she came home to her nest. "If that's all," she said, "then do not let it frighten you, for relatives always have harvesting of their own to do. But I want you to listen very carefully to what you hear the next time, and be sure to let me know what is said." The next day, while she was away, the farmer came as before, and finding the grain almost ready to fall to the ground from overripeness and still no one at work, called to his son, "We can't wait for our neighbors and relatives any longer. You and I are going to the barn right now and sharpen our sickles. At dawn tomorrow morning we shall get to work and harvest the grain ourselves." When the young larks told their mother what they had heard the farmer say, she cried, "Then it is time to be off indeed. If the master has made up his mind to undertake the work himself, then the grain really will be cut." So the mother lark moved her nest, and the next day the farmer and his son came with their sickles and harvested the wheat. If you want a task well done, then do it yourself. The boy and the filberts. Well, filberts are nuts. I know. Filberts could be nuts, but filberts are nuts. A boy put his hand into a pitcher which contained a goodly quantity of figs and filberts. Greedily he clutched as many as his fist could possibly hold, but when he tried to pull it out, the narrowness of the neck of the vessel prevented him. Unwilling to lose any of the nuts, he yet unable to draw out his hand, the lad burst into tears, bitterly bewailing his hard fortune. An honest fellow standing near by gave him this wise and reasonable advice: "Grasp only grasp only half of the quantity, my boy, and you will easily succeed. Half a loaf is better than no bread." The lion, the ass, and the fox. A lion, an ass, and a fox formed a hunting party, and after an exciting chase caught and killed a great stag. All three were hungry, but the lion especially so. "Here, friend ass," he roared, "divide up the spoils and let's have our dinner. I'm just about starved." The ass was trying his best to divide the carcass into three equal portions when the lion fell upon him with a roar and tore him to pieces. "Now," said the lion to the fox, "let's see how good you are at dividing the stag into two parts." Taking one look at the remains of the poor ass, the fox said never a word, but made sure that in the division of the meat he left the lion's share for the king of beasts and only a mouthful for himself. The lion nodded approvingly. "A very fair division indeed," said he. "Who would have taught you to divide so fairly?" "If I needed any lesson," replied the fox, "I had only to look at the body of our late friend the ass over yonder." We learn by the misfortunes of others. Pretty smart. Here, let's do one more. The frog, ribbit, ribbit, the frog and the ox. Some little frogs had just had a harrowing experience down at the swampy meadow, and they came hopping home to report their adventure. "Oh, father," said one of the little frogs, all out of breath, "we have just seen the most terrible monster in all the world. It was enormous, with horns on its head and a long tail and hoofs." "Why, my child, that was no monster. That was only an ox. He isn't so big. If I really put my mind to it, I could make myself as big as an ox. Just watch me." So the old frog blew himself up. Was he as big as I am now? Oh, he asked. Oh, father, much bigger, cried the little frogs. Again the father frog blew himself up and asked his children if the ox could be as big as that. Bigger, father, big, a great deal bigger, came the chorus from the little frogs. If you blew yourself up until you burst, you could not be as big as the monster we saw in the swampy meadow. Provoked by such disparagement of his powers, the old frog made one more attempt. He blew and blew and blew until something went pop. The old frog had burst. Self-conceit leads to self-destruction. That sounds like it comes right out of the Bible. Pride goes before a haughty spirit, or a haughty spirit goes before a fall, right? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Very good. That's it for Aesop's Fables today. Bye.